Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. I'm your boy, Jeremy Jackson, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here today just following me. Thank you to all the compliments and all the words of encouragement and everything that the people and the fans out there are giving me as we're building this content and building this channel. I'm so glad to be here in the Napa Valley to talk to all these beautiful people that I've met in my sojourn out here in the Valley. This gentleman here is one of the few people that I met that I built not just a business relationship, but a personal relationship with. And, he talks and he's kind of a jokester. So if he's acting super serious today, he's totally different behind when the cameras are on.
He's saying I'm the jokester.
Chef Sean Massey, how you doing?
Good. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Chef Sean Massey's here, and I'm going to let him run down who he is and what he's done. He has an incredible resume, an incredible journey, and I'm just thankful that he came here to kind of share his story and some of the wonderful things the new journeys that he's about to embark on. And, so just tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, thanks for having me. Like I said,
Thank you.
I've known Jeremy personally for a couple of years now. And I want to take this opportunity to crack a little beer with you. He keeps calling me Chef Sean Massey. Most people know me as Sean, but in the kitchen we always collaborate or camaraderie after our shift. We have a beer. We like crack a beer, So I'd like to crack a beer with you.
All right, well, good.
I got one of these little.
Tell everybody what you brought, man. Show them what you brought.
If I'm pronouncing it right with my accent here, Hanabi. It's a local brew. A friend of mine. Eduardo Dingler, a little sake drinker guy. Let me pour you first, my friend.
No problem.
Well, there's two different flavors, so maybe we try.
Beer out of wine glasses. That's how we do it in the Valley, man.
That is very very Napa Valley my friend.
No, I'm not mad. Let's do it.
So, I've been here. I've been in Napa since I came to Napa in 2010.
Okay.
December of 2010. I was actually living in Oakland at the time. I was driving up. I was working at Morimoto in downtown Napa.
That's good.
That's where I kind of started my journey here in Napa, right down on the riverfront. So,
at what restaurant?
Morimoto.
Morimoto?
Yeah, in downtown. That was 2010. They just opened at the time. Napa was a little quieter than it is now.
Yeah.
Really seeing the growth over the last, 15 years? It's been 15 years since I've been here. Working with Morimoto, worked a little bit at Auberge, worked a little bit at Red, up in Yountville. Worked for Dariush Winery at the winery. I just got out of the winery business.
Okay.
I turned 40 last year. It's a big year for me.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you, my friend.
Happy late birthday.
I'm closing the end of the 40th year this April 27th. So as I close the 40th year, it's kind of ironic because April 1st, I'm planning to open the Alleyway Studio Kitchen over by your barber shop.
Okay.
Is the projected dates April 1st when I'm really going to be able to start searing steaks and providing meals.
Okay.
As I close the 40th year. So that's kind of a big deal for me as I venture out onto my own now.
New beginnings, huh?
That's right. Everybody says, I read something. Everybody says turning 40 is old. And then I read it says, it's not old, it's you're 40 years trained. Now it's time to go out and get some, right? Now you got 40 years of experience. Now it's time to go out and grab something and make it tangible. Start creating that legacy. What's that next generation going to have that you left for them? So I think this is a good opportunity for me and us as neighbors now over there to really, kind of just do our thing and get, do what we like to do. We're all artists over there, you and GN and OG. Yeah. Up in there.
Shout out to the crew.
You know what I'm saying?
The barbershop. Old Town Barbershop.
You feel me? Even the Naysayer's getting it cracking over there, and the Rutherford is getting it going, and La Hacienda.
The Food City Plaza in general.
You know what I'm saying? The Hacienda, I really have enjoyed their al pastor lately.
I eat there so much. It's one thing I love about Hacienda though. And I love everything over the Rutherford, the pizza. It's just the problem with the Rutherford for me is that I'm in my 40s and I can't eat pizza like that anymore. Yeah. So I have to, but whenever, when the kids, I'm like, you guys want a slice of pizza? And I'm like, yeah. So I always take the kids in there to get a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
But a Hacienda, man, I eat there so much, and I never get tired of them. You know, I never get tired of them. I love that place.
I ate there like twice last week.
Yeah. I'm
and
probably
like
about once.
Saturday
twice a
came
week.
around. My girl was like, "Should we go to Los Angeles?" I'm like,
Now I'm eating now I'm eating get the oh man, what's it called? The salad with the shrimp in it, because I'm always eating the burritos and everything else. So I'm like, let me gotta lighten it up a little bit.
I do the pastor tacos.
Okay. So let's do this real quick. I mean, you kind of told your resume about some of the restaurants you've been in, but let's go back to the beginning. Like, what's your journey like from a youth to embarking on becoming a chef and working in the restaurants and to where you are?
Well, in the beginning, I'm from Oklahoma.
Okay.
Born and raised in Norman,
Okay.
where the university is. Big time Sooner fan still to this day.
Okay.
I haven't lived there since I was 18, so it's been about 22 years. But I was born and raised there, went to high school there. Started working in restaurants age 13, like 7th, 8th grade. And
Wait. You were working in the restaurant 7th grade?
yeah, after school.
After school?
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't like crazy. It wasn't like 10, 12-hour shifts. It was like 4-hour shifts. I would go over. It was like 6 to 10. I would clean toilets. Was mainly what I was doing. Then they kind of taught me how to work the dish station a little bit. Then by the time I had left there, they had like taught me how to like roll a dough.
Yeah.
Pizza dough out.
Yeah.
Because they were making pizzas. My brother was in the restaurant business back in the days, and he was managing a restaurant, the closest restaurant to the stadium. It's called the Mont.
This is really good. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh,
This is really good.
crispy.
Yeah. Crispy, yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
I like it, yeah. Sorry, I had to throw that tidbit in
And
there.
you know that it's probably drinking better because you're drinking it out of this
a wine
glass
glass,
instead
yeah.
of just
Letting it
right
open
out
it
of
up.
the
Yeah,
bottle.
yeah, you're right. This is
I
open
know
it
you
up.
like it right out of the bottle, but this one out of this, I think it's light, crispy. It's, I mean, I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But
you were saying you were rolling the dough and
yeah, then my brother got me another job at another restaurant, the closest one to the OU Stadium. You know, football's a big deal over there. College football.
yeah.
So the day of the game, it's bumping. And they got me on over there as a dishwasher. And, it wasn't fancy food. We're talking, cheese fries was the big hit. They were famous for a swirl. It was a drink that had frozen margarita with frozen sangria swirled together. So it was green and red. I think you're only allowed to have like 3 of them or something. They're so strong.
Okay.
And they bumped me up to the fryer station on game day one day. I was like 15. They're like, well, you don't have a permit or whatever it was, but we're short a guy.
Yeah, I was about to say somebody called in.
Yeah,
right?
someone was out. So they bumped me up from dish, and I had to man the fryer, like chicken fingers or whatever. The owner's name was Crow at the time. He kind of liked to bend the rules. He bought that restaurant back in the early 70s. He was an OU alumni.
Well, thank God for the rule breakers. You know what I mean?
He was an interesting guy. He always hated the health department. He was like, the health department makes this kitchen look like a hospital. We'd be like, Crow, you can't say that in front of the guys, man. Come on, we got to keep it clean. But, and that was when it was like early on. I've just been in the restaurant. Not that the food was out of this world, but I've been going to a restaurant, clocking in, wait until my turn, and then I sit on the bucket. I eat my family meal. I get back up. I continue to work, kind of thing. We do a good job. They used to bring shots into the kitchen for the guys that, take a little shot or whatever. That environment, I've been in it since I was 13, pretty much my whole life,
Yeah.
When I turned 18, I went to college in Denver, and then I got trained, got to learn how to wake up.
Was it culinary or
culinary school?
Okay.
At the Art Institute in downtown Denver.
Okay.
That really taught you how to like show up with the uniform, nice apron, your handkerchief you have to wear, clean shave back in those days, the hat, then you start learning knife skills and all the basics. I did that for 2 years, got a degree, associate's degree, culinary fine arts and science, and then kind of started my career. First job was in Florida at the Four Seasons in Palm Beach.
Palm Beach, Four Seasons, huh?
Yeah, Four Seasons Hotel was kind of the foundation for the beginning years of my career, and a lot of the hospitality driven philosophies that Isidore Sharp, the founder of the Four Seasons, has, and how they take care of the guests and the details that everything they do. And it's such a high level. Some of those Four Seasons are very high volume hotels. The Maui one's something 300 rooms, 4 or 5 restaurants, Spago by Wolfgang Puck. It's pretty incredible the way that they operate. Just from the pillow to the sheets to the bed, the way that they configure and the portfolio of hotels. If you really dig in deep to the portfolio of where they're located and some of their properties, it's just out of this world. I had a good opportunity working for them that I got to travel a lot as a young cook. I spent a lot of time Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Hong Kong, a couple times Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. Really got to see Southeast Asia, and living in the Pacific for 5 or 6 years really helped.
What was your of all those places? What was your favorite as far as not working wise, but just the countries? What did you like?
Oh, the countries, Thailand was always top. The cuisine is still my favorite cuisine to this day. The people,
okay,
but really all along there is just everything's so different. Malaysia was very nice. Singapore is a great city. I was in the Maldives. That's kind of a once in a lifetime thing. And it's so far. It's like you're never gonna go back.
Yeah.
After the Florida job, they transferred me to Hawaii, and I lived in Hawaii for 4 or 5, whatever it was, 5 years. Right before coming to Napa. So I came to Napa from Hawaii.
Okay.
So actually,
you were in Hawaii 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think it was
Honolulu?
I was on Maui.
Maui, okay.
It was like 4.5 at the Four Seasons. I came to the mainland to work for Morimoto, and then he had opened his restaurant in the Ondas in Maui, and he had taken me back to Maui to open that restaurant, and then he brought me back to Napa, ironically. So I there for a little while in 2012, 14, I was like, I
love Maui. We went there actually after my wedding. We went there and honeymoon there. That was the first stop on our trip. But we stayed at the Kihei Cottages, Nona Cottages. I've been there 3 times, I think. Beautiful place. It's like the best spot.
I lived in Kihei, the South Side. I love Kihei.
Yeah. Nona Cottages, man. I love that place.
I love Kihei.
Yeah.
Big beach, Wailea. That Four Seasons was in Wailea.
Yeah. That's what the shopping area is. So about 10 minute, maybe 15-minute drive, you go and there's all the luxury brand stores and the beach, and the private beach is back there. And
Kiwakapu. Shout out to Kiwakapu.
Yeah, you gotta walk down a little pathway and climb down some rocks, and it was dope.
Big Beach. Did you go to Big Beach when you were there? Next time you go to Big Beach.
I don't know if I went to Big Beach.
Second entrance. It's past all the past Wailea and McKenna side. It's big waves.
Beer got me burping.
big open waves, deep water. It's a little shore breaks a little rough sometimes, but I loved Kihei. I still love Kihei, and just the Maui and Hawaii, the culture, the respect for the ocean, the respect for the land, the respect for the animals, the respect for their community. Just they're very tight knit culture that has so much respect for the earth, first, definitely. To sit on those beaches day in and day out and to see no litter, because everybody who lives there respects the water and the Aina so much.
Even the downtown area, I had the luxury of where the fires happened. I had the luxury of seeing that area of Maui before the fires. The Haina, and it's such a beautiful area. And I remember we went, and man, it was so beautiful, and it's just devastating to see it, catch up and burn up like that. So let me ask you a question. Now, what were your age ranges from the years you were in Maui when you were traveling Southeast Asia and all that into Maui? What was that age range?
Oh, what age was I? I was 22
to what, like 30,
27.
26. So that's not the normal experience for most people in their early 20s, right? How do you feel like that was shaping you at the time? Like now looking back, like what was how do you feel like your mindset was shaped and how you grew in your experience? Because that's not your average experience for somebody, for probably most ages in life, people don't get to have that experience.
Yeah, it was really mind-opening for me to understand that, what we have here and what they have over there, and the comparison between the two, and just the difference of everything, the flavors, the smells, the kindness of the people, the trials and tribulations of life all over the different parts of the world.
Yeah.
In my earlier years, I was a young cook, so it was more about I was traveling by bus, and I was really kind of gritty style, trying to just really understand flavors and stuff. And then as I got older in my 30s, when I was working for Morimoto, I traveled and worked. So then I was working and traveling. I was actually setting up restaurants from scratch in these countries or in different parts of the world outside of my home base. So I had all the challenges, you know, where religion could be a challenge, or democracy or dictatorship or royalty or whatever could be a challenge.
They were affecting the opening of the restaurants in particular places because of those issues.
Let's say like you're in Thailand, right? So if you're in Thailand, the king maybe can dictate what the tax is on luxury ingredients. So maybe the ingredients could be harder to get. Or Thailand was the trickiest actually, because the sugar was like sweeter and the salt was saltier and the spice was a lot spicier. So that was the trickier one when I was open for Chef, because his Japanese flavors, very distinct cuisine that he made, you know. So that was the tricky part. But what you really understand is, you know, I don't want to say that we take it for granted here, but we take it for granted. Yeah. You know, because the pay and the workforce and the hours it takes, and the hardships we have here on this side of the world, and then over there, they're kind of the same, right? The restaurant is. The positions mechanically operate the same. They're as hard as they are here as they are there, but the pay is so different. And that's when it's like almost shocking, or like you feel bad almost, because you're like, oh wow, this is what's going on. So that was a little, I don't want to say sad, but it was just hard to stomach. Like, oh man, and just Napa as ingredients as a whole, we have access to so many good grown ingredients here, right? The zucchinis in the summer, the stone fruit season, and all the ingredients we can get. Sometimes some places can't get these. I mean, look at Oklahoma. They weathers are so harsh. They can only get certain things certain times of the year. You know, a very limited amount of lists of ingredients that could be grown once the winter hits over there. You know. So you're in Maui. And then you come to Morimoto's. And how old were you when you came to Morimoto's? Let's try this other. Yeah, go ahead, man. The first time I came to Morimoto's, I was in my mid-20s, and I think I started as a line cook, and I was his executive chef of his flagship Morimoto Napa here at the riverfront when I was like 29. I was 29, but then I turned 30.
So this Morimoto's is the first one, the one in Napa?
It's his flagship. It's not his first one. It's the first one that he opened with his own name without any partnerships. Okay. His first one was in Philadelphia with Steven Starr. Okay. And, you know, he had two in Mumbai and New Delhi, India for like 20 years. I think they're on 20-year anniversary. Okay. New York, Philly, Boca Raton. Those were all his like original. Napa was the first one that was like had his name as a new logo. Was Chefs, he considered it his flagship. That's where his breeding ground was. But the name in Philadelphia is still Morimoto? Okay. But if you look at that one, it's all lowercase, the logo. And the one here is a Japanese honko. That's his like signature. Okay. So this was more of his breeding ground really for his training for all of his chefs, for all of his new openings. They all had to, if you were going to be the chef of Dubai for Morimoto, that staff had to come here and train with us for a month, go back to the location. Then when they were about a month out, Morimoto would send his team from the U.S. I was one of the first guys to get there, and then we would go over there and spend a month to set the restaurant up. Chef would come out, and we would open the restaurants to start service.
So my question to you is that when you came here for opening this restaurant, was that your first time being in Napa? Or have you been here before prior to that?
When I was in Hawaii, I wanted something a little bit more competitive. Hawaii, great place to work, but it just wasn't competitive. And I looked at the time, it was New York, Chicago, and the Bay Area were kind of like the most competitive for the mainland. And I liked California. I always wanted to live in California.
So doesn't like,
you know what I'm saying? Weather. So I'd already lived in Florida and Hawaii and Colorado and Oklahoma at the time. So I was like, I want to get to California. So I came out here for a weekend and I staged at a place in San Francisco, Sonoma, and Napa. Okay. And I took the job for Napa. Okay. That was my first time here. Okay. Then I moved out here and took the job, and I moved out here. I was living in Oakland, driving up, commuting, and then I finally moved up to Napa like January of 2011.
Okay. Take you a quick little sip. So what was that like for you? Just what was you? Of course, you said it changed so much. Kind of get into, I mean, of course, your journey when you got here, but what was that change that you see from course then to now, like being in Napa? And
Well, then was like trying to like acquire skill, build your skill set, grow who you are here with locally with everybody. You know, you're really pushing, and then I was lucky to work with Morimoto. He's like top 2% of the culinary world. So
yeah,
I just rode that wave and made a lot of good friendships and a lot of connections along the way. And I performed, and a lot of people liked what we were doing. They believed.
yeah,
And when I made the transition to the winery business, that was a good time for me too to really get out of Morimoto had a playbook,
yeah.
we got to add to the playbook,
Yeah,
but we were out there running his
machine.
plays,
Yeah.
Getting into the winery business was and the reason I worked for the Dariush Winery, because he's a good dude and he was willing to let me build the program for him, because they didn't really know exactly what they wanted at the time. So it was a good time for me to really go into a situation where I didn't have anything, no playbook, nothing, and I had to build the program he has over there, the menus, the recipes, all that.
And so just real quick, so when you were at Morimoto, were you executive chef there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're executive, how many years were you there?
Oh, I think I was with Chef for like 10 years total.
Okay. So you said what's that, 28, 29?
Yeah, I was with Chef from when I was like 26, 27 till I was 36, 37.
Okay. So then after about 9, 10 years, then you make the transition to Dariush?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did that come about?
I just was looking for something a little different. I'd done 10 years with Chef, 10 restaurants, 4 continents.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody we went through, COVID was tough on the restaurants.
Tough on everybody.
Yeah, I was looking for change. I'd lived in Napa for over a decade, never worked in a winery. I was a little young at the time to be going to a winery, but it was, it was a part of me that was looking for a little peace. Personally, I had a lot of people that had kind of passed and came and gone during, 2018 to 2021. And, the restaurant business, it made who I am today. But, man, it's rough, man.
Yeah.
It's running a multi-million-dollar business for a famous dude that's popping. It takes a lot of your time.
And who is Dariush? Like, just for the people who don't know, who is he?
Dariush Winery is a winery owner, proprietor of Dariush Winery here in Napa. He's a Persian gentleman who came here back in the 70s from Shiraz with his wife Shahpar and his daughter Sally and son Kashi, and they came over to L.A. and he was a grocery store guy.
Okay.
He had like 60 grocery stores and all scattered out through L.A. forever.
Oh, wow.
Then
this is my first time hearing the story, so I've heard of his name, but I didn't know his journey. So yeah.
So then his dream was to own a winery. So he came up here. He bought that piece of land up on Silverado Trail, and he bought the stones, from Persia, and sent them to Greece to get cut, and then to Italy, and then shipped over. And
that's some baller stuff right there.
and they spent like 7 years building the winery here. That's his house. Till he lives on the property.
Yeah.
And he started making wineries, and then he ended up selling all the grocery stores and then just focusing on the wine. So he's been making wine since 1997. I think was the first vintage. He was good friends with Robert Mondavi. Actually, when you go in his office, the offices there, there's his offices when you get to the winery. There's a big picture of him and Robert sitting there. It looks like summertime because their shirts are kind of unbuttoned and they're like kicking back. They got glasses.
And Robert Mondavi, if anybody doesn't know, he's like the godfather of the Valley, right?
Well, I mean, if nobody knows who that is, I don't know if they'll even be listening to this podcast. They'll be wondering what Napa Valley is.
Yeah, that's true.
What I mean?
Like Michael Jordan, who is that? Yeah, the game where they bounce the ball. Yeah.
But if you've never been up there, man, let me know. There's still family. They're good people. I got to do a dinner with him June 4th with Michelle Roland, a winemaker from Burgundy, just good people.
Okay.
All around good people. Good long term. Like talking about someone with like long term generational like vision, like doesn't play around.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's brought the Stones over.
Yeah,
Like it's not really.
Yeah,
You get in there, you
for
see
too
how
many
it's
games.
designed and stuff. I mean, that's his thing. He's a big family man. You know, you work for him, you're like family. You know, he just called me a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to him. He's just
That's dope.
good friend, good dude. Change of, you know, mentorship. You know, when I was with Morimoto, chef is very strict. You know, he's kind of always just a hard ass. He could be funny. Chef could be funny. Like go to the karaoke bar with him. He's a pretty funny guy. But like he's very strict. You know, he's very old school, very strict. And Dariush was old school, but Dariush was just a much more kind. You know, kind dude. He was the kind of dude when he was younger. They would back in Shiraz, the kids didn't have toys on the block. You know, he would go out there give them his toys when he was at a young age. This was always like a famous story of him. He got like the Immigrant of the Year award, as a medal. That's in one of the offices over there. A horse guy, so he rode horses. Just like a poet, you know, where he's from. It was poetry, flowers, and stuff. So very kind dude. I'm really blessed to have worked with both of them and to be able to take a piece of their leadership with me on my journey with my leadership. You know what I mean?
I think that's amazing to have such rich mentorship in your journey. I mean, that's like, you know, that's their money couldn't buy that. You know, money couldn't buy that. And coming from Oklahoma is like, it's like.
I think Chef is 69, 70, and then Dariush was 79, 80. So, you know, they're older gentlemen, both studs, both still in great shape.
Yeah.
I mean, Chef's in phenomenal. Chef was always, he's an iron chef. Like, people always ask me, oh, yeah, is he made of iron? I'm like, yes. Like, the guy is made of iron.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is wild, man. Like, knife skills. Like, when he was drinking, when he drinks, when he takes it serious. Like, the guy can eat like a king. He'd sing like a rock star karaoke. The guy loved the karaoke, you know.
Oh, man, I got a karaoke challenge, man.
Oh, dude's naughty.
That'd be a good episode. We got to do a karaoke challenge or something, man.
Yeah, we sung a lot of karaoke with him. He was always funny. Yeah.
So you're here. You said you're at Dariush now, and now how long were you there?
I was with Dariush and the family for 4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yep.
And obviously, which is interesting is that since you came up under like really strong mentorship under Morimoto, now you're with Dariush. It only makes sense that wouldn't have been that long, because even though he was an added addition, you know, you're getting older, the world was changing, and now you kind of enter into your own, right?
Yeah.
And so what did that journey look like from there?
You know, from me departing from Dariush.
Yeah.
You know, it was very, you know, he's a businessman. Dariush is old school Persian businessman, like very. So he just likes things straight up. And plus, Dariush is more local than Morimoto was. Morimoto was, you know, worldwide operation situation, 20 restaurants over the world. You know, Dariush, we're operating in a small town situation, new businesses, new ventures. You know, just the foundation for, you know, his mentorship to me and our friendship and everything was our friendship. You know, we're friends at first.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it goes. So I just always treated him like a friend.
Yeah.
You know, so I just was very upfront with him, telling him, hey, this is what the future looks like for me. I'd love to help you. I would love for you to be my client. Let's just continue to move forward. Let's just adjust it. And he's just super grateful. Still wants to continue to work together.
Wow, that's amazing.
Super supportive. I mean, he's just an all around class act. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't really do family as a whole, Sally and Shapar and everybody. So that was really peaceful, you know.
Yeah.
When you go through that, not that, you know, we'd built something together and we were still in the middle of like kind of evolving together. And, you know, when you're a tight-knit family like that, to leave, you know, there's always a certain party that's going to be sad or ego or whatever, whatever it is. You know, we all have this human nature.
Yeah.
So I want to just be very upfront with him and just be honest.
Yeah.
You know, this is what it looks like, and I still want to dance with you.
Yeah.
I just can't be dancing with you, you know, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I'll dance with you a couple times. Yeah, but, you know, I can't be doing it like that. So I got a good opportunity here locally.
Yeah.
You know, next to you dudes in an area that I've had my eye on since, you know, Joe Rossi and Holcomb and those guys bought the place. So I've been, kind of watching that place grow and grow, the palms and the paint.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of time and work in it. It's looking good too.
Yeah,
it's looking real good.
I think it's the whole south side area of Napa for me is like it's like a little highway because you got the Sonoma.
Yeah,
you
got
know,
the
like
Jefferson. Yeah,
the Browns Valley neighborhood. You're in Browns Valley. You got to
yeah.
figure out how you're coming to town. You're coming on First Street or Redwood Road or Old Sonoma Road.
Yeah.
Then you got Jefferson coming down. It's one of the main arteries of the town.
Yeah.
So I feel like that area I've always had, my eye on it. And then when something popped up, I was like, oh yeah, let's get this going. I mean, the one thing about Napa is if you're doing something right, people will come. It doesn't matter what side of town you're on.
That's true.
And you got all these little parts of town now starting to get their identity. It's like, they're calling the south of First Street SoFi.
So
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that? No, the south of First Street, like,
we're in SoFi?
Well, technically, but
okay.
They're talking about like over there, like like Folklore and Arboreum.
Oh, okay.
Have you been over there? Yeah. They're getting a lot of momentum now with their drinks and Kayla and Hansel over there, and so they're getting a little action. They're south of First, so they kind of have like this SoFi is south of First, and then I don't know if they call it a North Side Norfi or what, but So I mean, we're not SoFi or Norfi. We're South Side.
Yeah, we're South Side.
We are the South Side. I mean, there's no question about it. There's no line. We're the South
As long
Side.
as there's no gang signs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's interesting. So as you're going through this mentorship process, there's just like this theme, right? Like you were 13, 14, you came up under some places where you were working and just learning the ropes. Then you go to school, get the formal kind of training, education behind you. Then you head on this journey. You're just like, you're rolling, right? But you have these awesome people who are behind you, molding you, kind of like throughout the journey.
Yeah.
What can you talk to maybe a little bit where your mindset was even at 13? Like, where did that drive come from? Because sometimes people can be in good mentorship opportunities and just burn them or blow them because they don't have the wherewithal to grasp kind of what they're in, or even sometimes people don't even know what they're in. They're just hard workers and it just works out. Right. But where do you think you got that understanding or clarity from to even at that young age to just grind it out like that?
Well, there's a couple of elements to it. Number one was I didn't think there was a lot of opportunity in Oklahoma.
Lack of opportunity.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
Oklahoma made a lot of money on, ripping people off, the natives, and then oil. And that's up and down.
Yeah.
And my mother always said that lawyers were going to be a dying breed in Oklahoma. And they always said that. I don't know why. So when I was young, I was always like, man, well, what am I going to do? Not that I could ever made it to law school, but I always thought to myself, well, cooking, everybody's going to have to eat. I always thought that until COVID. Then COVID, I was like, oh my God.
People were still eating.
I know, but I was like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
So it's all good because we can overcome that now. If COVID happened again, everybody's ready to go.
Actually, I tell my wife all the time, I was like, I wish I can get those 18 months back. Boy, I just really would just, oh man, I would just seize that time, man. I was like, I need one more 18-month stretch like that.
I think I was only out of work for 6 to 8 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Then they made us all get it going again. I remember it was a little wild, but that was always a part, was lack. I don't think there was any opportunities. I didn't see,
like, what am I going to do with my life kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see myself being there, doing what the generations above me were doing at the time. I just always wanted to see more, see other styles. I mean, Oklahoma was an interesting place in 1984 when I was born, early 90s. It's a lot nicer now. Oklahoma City is a lot nicer now with the basketball team and stuff. It's beautiful, but back in the days, it wasn't. There wasn't a lot there. It wasn't highly populated. That was a part of it. When I turned 18, I went to Cancun for the senior trip. I graduated as a junior. I graduated a year early because I wanted to get out. So I graduated a year early as a junior, and I went with the seniors down to Cancun, and I got to my hotel room, and we got up to the 16th floor, and I opened the door, and I went out to the balcony, and it was just white sand beaches and
beaches
like,
and oceans.
like
You're like, ain't none of this in
turquoise
Oklahoma.
water. Like the wind was blowing. It was like something. I was like, oh man, like I have to get on the beach.
You had hair back then?
Nah.
Was the wind blowing your hair? Or were you still?
I used to have long blonde hair. I have to show you a picture. I don't
the
have my
wind was
phone
blowing
on me,
your
but
hair?
yeah, there's actually a picture of me with long blonde hair, and Chef Morimoto loved to show it to everybody. It was when I was
I've never seen it. I got to see that picture.
Yeah,
You
it's
got to show
like,
it to
it's
me.
like you scroll all the way down on my gram page. It's like way down there. My senior picture, I had blonde hair, and then I shaved it and never grew back. But those were monumental points of like, how do I get out? How do I get something? What more can we get? You couldn't have been a chef in Oklahoma at the time. First of all, there wasn't any restaurants that plated food.
Right.
You know, it was like kind of like microwave or burgers or sandwiches or like fried green beans with ranch sauce or something like that. You know, now they have like tasting menu restaurants. You can go there and get 5-course, 7-course tasting.
Right.
Couple guys.
But there was no elevated experience at the time when you were younger. Yeah.
No, elevated experience is just like, the filet with the asparagus, with the mashed potato, and the red wine sauce. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
classic
yeah,
move.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way. But if it's done right, like with the little croissants with the honey on them at this restaurant called Charleston's, that was like high end. You go get a steak. That was like, get a steak. But the food was rich. The food is rich over there. Fried chicken. Like Oklahoma, we only ate fried chicken really when like grandma made it on Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day. She made fried chicken with like the white fluffy gravy and biscuits, rolls, casserole. Like there's like they do casserole for like everything over there, which is just, I don't know, like sour cream and stuff mixed into like, they do green bean casserole, cauliflower casserole, probably.
Yeah, everything casserole it out.
Yeah, over there just scooping it up, to put it on a plate. So, my
So you were saying, I'm sorry to cut you off. You were saying you opened up the window and you saw sand and sun and ocean and the hair. It was blowing your blonde hair.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
So that was an inspiration. They were like, I don't want to go back to Oklahoma. Yeah.
It's like, I gotta go back. Well, what am I gonna do? To get out. I just had a couple doors of opportunity open, and I kind of smashed on them. So I had the opportunity for culinary school, and I smashed on it. Instead of going to my senior year, I went to college instead.
Yeah.
I was super creative with like making sure my resume looked like it had something on it for them to get any kind of hook on it at the Four Seasons in Palm Beach. And then when the chef talked to me, like, he was from Hawaii. His name was Ryan Vargas. I'm still in contact with the guy all these years later. Great dude.
Okay.
He's like, I'm gonna offer you the cafeteria job. Because they got the Four Seasons. They always have a cafeteria for the employees. It's the busiest food outlet they got typically, because it's three meals a day, whatever. And it was like $8.50 or something. And I was like, all right, done deal. Yeah, I'll take it. And he's like, well, you're going to drive all the way out here from Oklahoma for a cafeteria job? Yeah. I said, well, you said the general manager eats in the cafeteria every day. And he goes, yeah, he eats in the cafeteria. And I said, all right, well, he's going to see how I work. And then I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to climb up eventually. Yeah. I'm not just going to be there forever. And he said, all right. So I drove all the way out there, and he's like, man, I can't believe you drove out here. I'm going to put you in the bistro in Santiago. I'll pay you $13.50. All right. I got promoted on.
You got a raise.
I got promoted on my first day, brother. It's like, yeah, let's go. So I remember I got up there, and, Oklahoma was like very kind of just, it was simple-minded, kind of blockheaded kind of area to grow up, So when I got on the station with Santiago, and he opened the drawers, and there was like 12 kinds of oysters, different names, different sizes, stone crab claws. I remember we had king crab. I didn't even know how to open an oyster, man. I never even seen an oyster. You know what I mean? Wow. So he's like, firing up, 24 pack of this, 12 pack of that. And I'm like, I don't even know how to open it, man. He's like, he came over there. He's like showing me the ropes. Santiago like showed me the ropes of like my first station. It was like one of the biggest growing moments for me. And especially that hotel had a lot of J1 visas, from all over, Venezuela, Brazilian, Peruvian. And I heard him speaking Spanish with someone, and I had told him, oh, you speak Spanish? Oh, you're Mexican. And he got so mad at me. He's like, I'm Dominican Republican, man. He's like, you need to learn the difference. You hear how I talk? He started talking to me in Spanish. He's like, you hear that? He's like, ooh, yeah. You know, he's like, he fucking with me a little bit serious. And then that's when I realized I was 20 years old. I was like, man, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know shit. I don't even know what a fucking oyster is. I think I'm telling all my friends back in Oklahoma, I'm a chef this, chef that. I don't know shit, man.
Yeah.
I think this dude's Mexican. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about.
Was there a Mexican population in Oklahoma at all at the time?
At the time, not really.
Okay.
At the time, no, not really.
Yeah.
Now there is big time over there now.
Okay.
You know, the highway from Oklahoma City, the I-35, it runs from the DF, Mexico City, all the way through Oklahoma City.
Okay.
That same highway. Now I think it's a bigger culture down there now, but it's been 22 years since I lived there. So
I think what's interesting to kind of point out is that, you know, the age range which we're at, you know, like you say, you're 40 and I'm 40 something, right?
Can you hear me in
I
the
just
back?
look this good, baby. I just look this good, you know. Nah, but seriously, it's like people, the young generation don't understand that, like in the 80s and maybe 90s, there were a lot of populations that didn't have a lot of Latino populations in it. You know, so it's almost like now more so than ever. Like I met people like from New York. They're like, no, all their Latino experience was Puerto Rican, you know,
right.
or you know, in Florida, Cuban and all that, but they didn't really have, you know, the Latino population from Mexico. So there was all, and even then I didn't know. I made the same mistake as you. I remember being in school. And this cat, his name was Juan, and I was like, oh, he's a Mexican, you know what I mean? And he was from Puerto Rico, but he was from the East Coast, and he did the same thing to me, like, nah, dog, you know. So there's like that whole, you know, interclashing kind of thing going on, but not amongst them, just our ignorance, right?
Yeah.
Of just the breadth of, because growing up in California, all I've dealt with was, you know, the Latino population from Mexico. Yeah. So I just assumed it was all the same. And then you kind of get older and you understand those different type of nuances that are happening. So, and one thing I love about Napa Valley is the Latino population. You know, they are the backbone.
They are Napa Valley.
They are Napa Valley.
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says. You are here, they are Napa Valley.
For sure.
And they are why this place runs.
That's correct.
And so, you know, we love them. Shout out
in all aspects. Too.
In all aspects.
And everything, every business, all aspects, the whole functionality of this whole valley is based around them and their culture and, you know, their dedication to it. And their dedication to the dream of coming to Napa because they heard it was a nice place to come to. And keeping it moving. And I remember that. I'll never forget that. I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I don't know nothing. And that's what was kind of driving me. Like, man, I need to learn more. Then I need to see more. I need to get out and get more. So I spent a good amount of time in the Caribbean and Peru at the time. You know, I spent about 9 months in Peru over a little while of time, and they're all different. You know, it's one language, but every single country, different cuisine, different spice, different chile, different, you know, whatever it is, different shape of human, you know, I mean, whatever it is. But, you know, I would have never known that. And I always kind of wanted to know more. I think inside, I might not have known it all these years. I might not have even known it until you asked me just now. But that was something that was always driving me. It was like, well, what else is out there? You know. Now it's like I'm 40 now. I'm not really looking for like what's out there now. I'm like,
you're ready to start create your own.
Now I'm like looking on the inside, like, well, what am I gonna leave?
What's in you?
What do I got now that I've been there? I've been that. Like, that's all my past. Now what am I gonna do now? 40 years old, you know.
Well, let's talk about that.
You know what I'm saying?
So let's get into it. So now you've had this very unique journey, right? I mean, I wish I could have had those travels. And of course, we didn't really touch in all the, you know, not to glorify it, to make it like every single season was a beautiful season. But, you know, it's like it's a magnificent journey. But let's talk about all those years accumulated. And now you're entering into your new business. And what is it called?
The studio, Alleyway Studio Kitchen.
Alleyway Studio Kitchen. Okay.
At Food City.
Yeah, at Food City. And what are you doing with the kitchen now? What is your vision and your goal?
The vision for Alleyway Studios is a commercial kitchen. Okay. Is to have a creative space for chefs to be able to get on their feet, more or less. You got to think all the overhead a lot of chefs have now to operate a brick and mortar. So I know there's a lot of chefs, private chefs, bakers, bread makers, pastry chefs, chefs like myself. give them an opportunity to have a creative space that functions really well, that they can start up their own business and start getting on their feet without all the crazy overhead of a restaurant. So my idea now is, it's still in the works, but my idea now is to have, chefs in the morning baking and maybe making pastries and distributing however they distribute it, and then have some chefs at night who do their catering company. Like myself, I'm going to open a catering company separate than Alleyway Studios, and I'm going to run that catering company out of Alleyway Studios. That's going to be geared towards wineries, private events, fundraisers. I'll be doing Inspire Napa for Alzheimer's on April 25th.
Okay.
With Karen Laz. I think they've raised over $7 million for Alzheimer's.
Wow.
A big charity that means a lot to her. Her mother had Alzheimer's, so she started, I think, 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
They have a event on Friday. It'll be the Rutherford Block Party. Kind of kicks off their weekend.
Yeah.
Bunch of winemakers and everybody in there. I think it's 100 person. Still coming through the details up at Inglenook.
Okay.
So it's like the Staglin, Inglenook. I can't remember the other wineries. Whoever's in Rutherford right there. That's what makes it the block party. But really, the philosophy is to kind of make money, have fun, and give back on this one.
Okay.
Something that Dariush taught me with the giving back. But cooking for any events, consultings, wineries, private dinners, that's my catering company. Alleyway Studios is more chefs in there producing their products, getting the brands lifted off, distributing it, catering, bread, whatever it could be, even what we're doing now. Because I want to have live cameras, lights like that, cameras, microphones, that we can sit in there and cook the recipes. Now, the modern era, I've come to realize we make a butternut squash soup recipe as a special, and I sell 15 for $15 that night. It's a great special. But then tomorrow, I got to make a new special.
Yeah.
What I would like to do now is make that same special, but record it and edit it nicely and put it up online. That way I can serve it that night, and then I can serve it to viewers over and over again forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So I want to kind of get like Spotify for my recipes.
That's an amazing idea. I mean,
or
why
just
not?
the action in the kitchen, or whatever the consumer. I mean, it's
Just
all
engagement with the consumer.
It's all foreign to me anyways.
Yeah.
So I got to get in there and just get some unique minds in there who the business model fits for their business model. And get them in there moving and grooving, and then start bringing the lights and the cameras and the other professionals to see what if the content's got any grip. That's one part of it, right? So it's more of a commercial studio kitchen for the Alleyway Studios part, and then a little catering company I'm going to launch on the side within it. Always room to grow, always creative ideas. Would like to do a to-go window eventually, where we could do pop-ups, where I could take restaurant concepts.
So I can go around there and continue to get fat.
That's right. So they do like fried chicken pop-up, and then for 6 to 8 weeks we're running fried chicken. You can come over and get it, because I wanted to do a concept that was of my grandmother's style of fried chicken with the Oklahoma gravy and this kind of thing. Or I wanted to do a smoothie stand, like a Just Natural juice shop kind of thing for the early morning risers over there,
Yeah.
Because we got the pizza, we got the hacienda, we got the we got the guys coming in with the spicy fried chicken from Squeeze.
Yeah, in the corner. Yeah. Where are they coming from?
The guy who owns the Squeeze In, the burger shop.
Oh, Squeezing. That's right. Yeah.
But I think it's a spicy fried chicken concept from Florida or something, and he's bringing that concept under his wing here or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, man, that sounds amazing, man. It's a lot of dope stuff. One thing that I'm hearing a common thread as well amongst is that it took a very long time of apprenticeship for you to step out on your own, right? And I think I want to just kind of highlight that, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think I talked to the youth today, and just do the barbershop or just do conversations, and everybody thinks they have to know what they want to do with their life at 20, right? I don't know what I want to do in my life. It's like, no, go do something.
Yeah.
Like I posted a post, I don't know, my story, something, I was like, try shit, right? Like you gotta try some shit. You know what I mean? Because people, we don't have all the answers.
That's right.
We don't have all the answers. You didn't know that when you were traveling, like some people would have been like, hey, I'm good. I'm going to travel and work kitchens and set up restaurants for the rest of my life. What's better than this, right?
Right.
And it can look so glorifying from the outside looking in, right? But you have to go try stuff to then know, is this where I want to be? Or is this, no, there's more? But the realization is, it's kind of like as we were pouring beer, as we drink, it gets empty. We have to pour some more.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
that's how that works.
Yeah, that's how it works,
yeah,
right? We're doing something, and you tend to you put everything you have into it, and then you're like, you know what? I'm empty now. It's time to refill with the new thing. So just an encouragement to people who are watching to know that it, like you say, you had, what was the saying in the beginning? You said 40 years.
You had to say, oh, yeah, I'm 40. I'm old now. It's like, no, you're 40. You're trained now.
Yeah, you're trained. Yeah, you had 40 years of training.
You're ready.
Yeah, you're ready.
I look back on all the other years I thought I could open like a restaurant. I had this concept.
Yeah.
Kicking tires my whole life on spots. But looking on now, man, I'm glad I'm still scared shitless now. I mean, you're working for the man for 40 years. And now you're on your own. You got to figure out who's paying the bills.
Yeah.
No one like before. So. But at the same time, it's just a certain calmness I have, too. It's like, well, you got 40 years on this thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not ready now,
when will
you ain't never going to be ready. You know? And everybody's timing is different. Some people are like, they just 21. They open their own corporation. They've been working themselves their whole year.
Yeah.
Or they never work for themselves, but they're still successful. You know what I mean? So everybody's just different. I'm glad that I definitely have like a certain foundation behind what I do, that I don't like have any fear to fail in front of anybody. I don't have the lack of confidence to walk in and just do what I do. And now I am at a point where I feel comfortable, where it's like, I'm just going to be me. And if you don't like it, then I won't come back. But just pay the bill now, and then don't call me again. But if you like it, I'll come back. I'll make it. I'll try my hardest for you.
And you don't have to run the leave a bad review.
Yeah,
you just don't like it. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you just didn't like a place, you just don't go back. You know what I mean?
Who cares?
And everybody wants to leave a long review. Like nobody's gonna be perfect along the way, and everybody's not gonna do things the right way all the time. It's just like, just accept that you didn't like the experience and move forward, right?
I mean, I'm all about the ratings overall, because when you're Googling something, you do look at the review, the 4.6 out of 5, but like the paragraphs, like when I worked at Morimoto, man, everybody thought that like they just owed us a review because, the chef was famous or whatever.
Yeah.
So, man, you wrote 5 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Like,
5 paragraphs.
Like have some respect for the effort of the staff.
Yeah.
Have some respect for the art.
Yeah.
Like, have some respect for the mechanical part of it. Like, if you're that upset, just call over here. We'll give you a gift card.
Yeah.
You come back
we'll
anytime you like.
Yeah.
You gotta go write 5 paragraphs? Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the stuff that you're like, and that's what, like, the chefs in the restaurant, the pressure. They're always pressure from ownership for your numbers, pressure from your staff for raises and accommodations, and then pressure from your customers for cheaper prices and fatter steaks, pressure from your purveyors to buy more. Like the pressure is just from every direction. You know what I mean? So restaurant chefs, like, and just operators, God bless them, they keep the world going around. And I don't know what anybody would do without restaurants, but you got to have respect. Like, I go to restaurants all the time where, do I want to tip $20?
Yeah.
No. Was the food worth me tipping $20? No. Was it even worth the price? Not even really.
Yeah.
But we're going to pay full price, and we're going to tip 20%.
Yeah.
If we don't want to come back, we won't come back.
Right.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Like, show respect. You pay for the burger, pay your tip. Move on with your life.
Yeah,
like,
hey, you heard it here first. Move on with your life.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Oh man, it doesn't take a 5-page paragraph or a 5-paragraph review, of your experience, right?
You feel me?
So, man, well, I always like to ask these questions. If you had of course, not all the money in the world. Elon got that, which we don't want anybody to have that kind of power. But anyways, if you had money wasn't an option, what would you be doing right now? Like, what would be the first thing you do, or what would be the most important thing to you to do?
Oh, if money wasn't
like, if you had enough money to send stones overseas and then have them shipped back, what would you be doing?
Oh, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of stress, man.
Yeah.
You know, that much money.
Yeah.
They say more.
Well, that's why I said not all the money in the world, but just maybe you just up, 20 million or something. What would Sean be doing?
There's a certain element you'd be buying properties.
Mm-hmm.
I got a really good girlfriend right now, Ariana, and her son, and me and the 2 dogs and cat I got at the house. So we got like a little six top.
Yeah.
Our little unit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we'd probably get a couple spots on the map that she wants to go, and but I would continue doing what I do and what I enjoy to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to give out on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably get a little weird and come up with a couple rest-restaurant ideas, like full restaurants, like really
super artsy, like super just crazy weird because you could do it.
Yeah, just whatever, just different ideas I've always had in my mind, like a nice fancy champagne fried chicken brunch spot, with original Andy Warhol paintings or something, whatever it is you want,
Yeah.
What I'd really like is like an old mansion, like one of those Victorian homes downtown, like the 3-story ones. I'd like to turn it into a nice steakhouse,
Okay. Yeah.
Valet parking in the front, wine cellar down in the cellar kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I would just do cool. I would continue to create art, and I would try to continue to build something to leave for the next generation, whatever it is. If you have unlimited money, I don't know if it's, a lot of chefs think about schools, or I would open restaurant groups. You start building, once you get the restaurant group and multiple restaurants up, then you start creating some kind of foundation. My older brother has MS. It's a very light version of it, but I would probably get something going for research for this, because the medication for it is like crazy expensive, and the healthcare here is kind of crazy, the way it is. So I would do something like that. My mother was real big on the DACA program.
Okay.
She gave a lot of money to the DACA program, and she was real big onto that.
What's the DACA program?
The DACA for immigrants here who were brought over by their parents.
Okay.
But they get DACA and they can get education, and
okay.
they're like here legally but not.
Yeah.
They're in the gray area, and they should all just be legalized because they were brought over here. They're technically legal, but for some reason we have them in this like weird gray area. And then every time we go red, we talk about canceling, and then we go back to blue, and then we try to make it happen, then we don't.
Yeah.
So my mother was big on that. You want to create something that gives back, but I want to have fun, and you don't need to make money because we got money. So who cares about that? So you really just create. I would try to create art, push the limits of what could I create. That's what I was put here to do, and or feed people. How can I feed more people? That's also what I came to do. That's what I do well.
Yeah.
Was cooking, feeding people. All the other stuff, I just kind of bobbing and weaving a little bit. I got the personality that can laugh, crack jokes, be serious, be bold.
You don't need money to do that.
Yeah, that's just us, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just switching it up, and I would try to, give back, cooking with my hands, creating meals, feeding people. That's what it's all about. That's why people know who I am.
Right.
Like you try my food, you can see like, oh, this is this guy's character right here. He puts his character on the plate, and that's what it is, putting food in bellies. When I was working for Dariush, we do 80 homeless meals every second Tuesday of every month. The 4 years I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time, like he says, make me a plate. And he always says, well, how many cooking for homeless? Say 80. And he goes, oh, well, there's 81. That's his person saying he's 81, right? And then we made we used to make like tri-tip for the boys too. So we had like tri-tip, but we made his plate, and he was swimming at the country club or whatever. So we had to wrap it, put it in his house.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how many hours he came back later. And he likes his meat well done.
Mm-hmm.
So he came back the next day. He's like, hey, I had the meat from he cooked for the boys. And I said, all right, well, what's how was it? He said, well, it was a little dry. I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, come on, Dariush, it's well done. You probably microwaved it.
Yeah.
It probably sat in your countertop for 2 hours. He's like, so I want you to put that real nice sauce you put on the beef jus, like the Bordelaise sauce, from the veal stock. And he was like, I don't care how much it costs, man. I just don't want to be serving them dry meat. I was like, Dariush, it's not really about the money on that veal jus. It just takes us 3 days to make it. I'm gonna make like a chimichurri or, spicy horseradish sauce to dip the meat in or whatever. But that was his generosity. And make sure that when we make them, something is chingon. And just the gratitude you get from that. You going down there, you giving them the meals, and like the friendships I made down there at the where we distributed the meals at down by the movie theater.
Oh yeah, the shelter back there.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we dropped the food off over there, go and chop it up with them. Dariush bought them a couple fridges and stuff. Real nice people, and I would always go over there. They're always super friendly with me. They all know me over there now.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't have any money, that's what you would do. You'd have to say, okay, well, what's my purpose now? I'm not grinding anymore. What am I gonna do? So
I asked that question because I want you, when you put it out there, I believe it's gonna come back. So it's kind of like I know it sounds so cliche, like give back and help them, but that's really people when people aren't grinding in the service of self. The only next thing to do is to serve others. Right. And even in your profession and even what I do, we live a life of service, even though we're being compensated for that. But what happens when you get to the point where I don't need, I'm not hustling and bustling anymore. Right. It's just to give back. Right. So I hope that putting that out there, that you do get to that point.
Yeah.
Where you're able to,
putting it out there.
Yeah. Making those things happen, man.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be there one day. I mean, we're trying to give back since day one anyways. That's kind of the Alleyway Studios, philosophy. So once we get the actual commercial kitchen up, then we're gonna go down there to our friends by the movie theater and see if we can plug ourselves in. A lot of people in Napa contribute to this program.
Yeah.
Even the guy down there is like, the meals we get over here at the Napa location. He's like, it's premier.
Yeah.
I was like, oh really? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, you guys bring salmon and tri-tip. And I was like, oh okay, well good. I'm glad they should be good in wine country.
I mean, I think that's something to be said just about how Napa takes care of even the less fortunate in their, in those situations. Like, not to say that they're just all in great positions, but it's like you don't see it overflow, or you don't see it the way you do when you hit up other places. Right. And I think that is a testament to even how they may even, like you say, take care of, those who are less fortunate in those positions due to whatever the cause is, So
I think they're organized about it,
Yeah.
We're not like handing out French baguettes to everybody on the street, but I mean, over there they got a live calendar with like who's got what day of the month, and a lot of people are involved with it.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I think just operations. Once you get an operation up and running, outside of your staff, but sometimes you need an outlet to put some food somewhere.
Yeah. And nothing is perfect, nothing is ever done, but nobody does anything perfectly, right? But it is good, it is good to know that does happen and folks are being taken care of. And so,
I mean, I don't know the extent of how many there are.
Right.
I mean, I know that we were doing 80.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's probably more than that around
other
town.
people doing. Yeah, but if you get multiple people doing things, and it all adds up, right?
I mean, I'm under the impression it's 3 square meals a day over there.
Yeah.
So,
but
man,
I might. So, thank you for coming.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for being here. Is there anything you want to leave with the audience before we go? Sean Massey, but I always call him Chef. I mean, when I met you, you were Chef. I'm gonna call you Chef, unless you tell me otherwise, man.
That's fine, man. No, just thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us. I didn't know the crowd was gonna be this large tonight. You only told me it was only gonna be 2,000 people. I didn't realize there was gonna be all these people in here staring at us, not making any noise. But
tell them what's this beer again? The beer.
This one is
the maker of it.
Autumn. This is the autumn winter. This is the guy his first name is Nick.
Okay.
He is the winemaker of Screaming Eagle wine. If my memory serves me correct.
Okay.
My friend Eduardo Dingler, sake drinker. He's like the sake som around town. I don't know if you know my man Edo.
I don't know. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
He got me on these, and I've seen him around locally. I got this at Browns Valley Market. I mean, I think it's tasty.
It's really good. Like, you see, we were down in it. If it wasn't that good, I would have had a little bit just for the camera.
Yeah.
We were killing it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, man, thanks for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining us on another episode. And like I said, we're going to continue to bring this dope content here to Napa.
That's right.
And we'll see you next time.
That's right.